In April 2023, Ding Liren was crowned the 17th undisputed World Chess Champion. Now usually someone becomes World Champion by winning the candidates tournament, thus qualifying to challenge the reigning World Champion in a match, and beating them to become the next champion. Remarkably, Ding Liren did not initially qualify to the candidates tournament, did not win the candidates tournament, did not challenge the reigning World Champion, and was on the back foot throughout the match that he did play. And yet, somehow, he made it. Join me as we cover this incredible story of resilience and fortitude that really deserves its own Netflix special. Welcome to Agilov. On October 1992, 30-year-old Chinese Grandmaster has established himself among the top tier of chess players for the last decade. He has been rated world number 2 for many months, has won many super tournaments, and even held the record for the longest unbeaten streak in 2018 when he went 100 games without losing. He was considered by many to be the biggest threat to Magnus Carlsen's reign as world champion. And so in 2020, it was expected that he would be one of the players who would qualify for the next candidates tournament. But a pandemic had just hit the world, and China had extremely stringent travel restrictions that made it impossible for him to play any tournaments that year. And so, he did not even initially qualify to play the candidates tournament. We covered what happened next in a previous video.
The initial 8-player field rather included the Russian and former challenger Sergei Karyakin. But Sergei got himself into hot waters when he publicly expressed strong support for the Russian invasion of Ukraine. These actions earned him a 6-month ban from playing official tournaments by FIDE, which meant a spot in the candidates had just opened up. This spot would go to the player with the highest rating in May 2022, which was Ding, but there was a small problem. To qualify for the candidates by rating, a player would need to have played at least 30 classical games in the previous year, and by March ending when Karyakin was banned, Ding had only played 4. All of a sudden, he needed to figure out a way to play 26 games in a month, all the while being careful not to lose too much rating. His federation came to the rescue. The Chinese Chess Federation quickly arranged a 6-game match against Wei Yi and a quadruple round-robin tournament, as well as a qualifier tournament to the Asian Games. It was kind of insane, but he did it. He played 28 games in 30 days and qualified to play the candidates in place of Karyakin. He had a rough start to the candidates, losing in the very first round to Nepo, but he steadied himself in the first half of the tournament and started to make a comeback in the second half, with wins against Duda, Richard Rapport, and Fabiano Caruana. Going into the last round, he was in 3rd place and was facing the player in 2nd place, Hikaru Nakamura. He needed to win to leapfrog Hikaru into 2nd place, and he did just that, outplaying Hikaru in 58 moves. This win proved to be crucial, since Magnus would announce just 2 weeks after the end of the candidates that he would not defend his title, meaning the player who finished 2nd would get a spot in the World Championship match. Just to recap, he needed Karyakin to run his mouth and get banned, needed to play 28 games in 30 days, had to win on demand against Hikaru Nakamura in the last round of the candidates, and needed Magnus to give up his title in order to make it for this match.
Ding was considered a slight underdog in the match due to Nepo's experience in the World Championship match format and extensive opening preparation that was backed by powerful supercomputers. The match began in earnest on 9th April in Astana, Kazakhstan. The first game was a typically cagey affair, with both players now getting comfortable in the match, but Ding was on the back foot for most of the game and was seriously pressured by Nepo's opening preparation, but he held a draw. The very next day, however, fireworks started. Ding had the white pieces and was expected to put some pressure since white begins the game with a small advantage, but his inferiority in opening preparation began to show, with Nepo quickly getting a comfortable position out of the opening and even putting Ding under some pressure. This time, Ding did not manage to defend accurately and got demolished in a nice attacking game. He was behind in the match as early as game 2, but there was even worse news for Ding's supporters in a press conference held after the game. Ding admitted that the intense pressure of the match was getting to him and that he had been impressed. Reports had also come out of Astana that Ding had decided to move out of the hotel the games were being played in into a new hotel for unclear reasons. He really looked like he might be clocking under the pressure, and many thought the match was already practically over. But Ding was not going down that easily. In the next game, he steadied the ship with a solid draw By game 4, he was ready to strike. His match strategy was now becoming clear. He was staying away from very theoretical positions where Nepo's superior opening preparation would give him an advantage, and playing less explored openings that would give him more opportunity to outplay Nepo. He managed to catch Nepo in a line in the English opening and achieved a comfortable position. Now it was Nepo's turn to defend under pressure, and he didn't manage. He missed a killer sacrifice from Ding, and Ding swiftly put him away. He was back in the match, and explained in the press conference that he had flown his mother in to support him and had moved back into the venue hotel. Things were looking good again. But the setbacks continued in the very next game. It was Nepo's turn to smoothly outplay Ding in a rich middle game, and he did it in very convincing fashion. Ding was behind once again, but once again he struck back in the very next game. He went for the London opening, and in a rich middle game, Nepo went for the wrong plan and quickly got a hopeless position. Yet again, Ding had equalized the match, and there was no slowing down the action. The next game was a heartbreaker. Ding went for the French defense with black, and rare opening at the top level. He managed to outplay Nepo in the middle game. He looked set to win and take the lead in the match for the first time, but he used too much time doing this, and with very little time left on his clock, he couldn't find the right moves, and he froze.
Somehow he's a bit frozen. Maybe the pressure, the tension, and the responsibility of the match is getting to him. He's unable to make a move at this point. It's psychological. He's just frozen.
9 moves.
He's frozen. He's literally frozen right now.
He's gonna have to.
He's frozen, guys. It's a tension thing.
Less
He's
than
frozen.
2 minutes.
He's
Oh
stuck.
my gosh.
What is he doing?
His body is frozen.
He lost the thread of the game and collapsed to a very damaging defeat. He was behind yet again, and with half of the match already gone by, there was much less time for him to strike back. He almost stayed in the very next game, however. He once again outplayed Nepo in a complicated position, but once again went dangerously low on the clock, couldn't find the finishing moves in time pressure. Nepo escaped with a draw and maintained his lead with 6 games to go. There was worse news for Ding's fans. During the game, certain users of the online chess platform Lichess found games played between 2 accounts in the months leading up to the match that featured the same obscure opening lines that Ding had played in the first 8 games of the match. It was clear that these accounts belonged to Ding and his training partner Richard Rapport. This was huge, and very irresponsible from Ding and his team to play their training games on a public server. There were over 70 games played between these 2 accounts, meaning that after the league, Nepo's team would have a very good idea what other openings Ding had prepared for the match, and Nepo would be more than ready for them. Ding was evasive when asked in a press conference about this. He had been uncharacteristically whisked away by his team immediately after the game for a discussion. It's likely that he was then made aware of the developments prior to the press conference. Ding now had to find a way to come back in the match without a huge chunk of his opening preparation. From here, the match quietened down with 3 more draws, with every game taking Nepo closer to winning the match. That is, until game 12. Ding with the white pieces opened with a Collie system, another rare opening at the top level. This time, opening did not pan out so well for Ding, as Nepo responded well and proceeded to outplay Ding in a complicated middle game. By move 25, Ding was completely lost, and a loss here would mean that the match was practically over. But he held on, defending and complicating the game until Nepo began to crack. After a series of hasty, imprecise moves, the advantage had evaporated, and just a few moves later, Nepo made a huge blunder, losing the game pretty much on the spot.
Plays F5?
F5.
It's
On
losing
the
on the
board.
spot!
And oh my gosh,
This is complete craziness. I
This is
can't
bizarre.
imagine this.
this is bizarre. I don't know what Ian has been doing for the last 5 moves, but it's been an absolute disaster.
In an amazing reversal, Ding had won the game from the jaws of defeat and equalized the match for an incredible 3rd time with just 2 games to go. Nepo stabilized the draw in the penultimate game. No Ding was under pressure. Ding defended in 90 moves in the last game to finish the thrilling 14-game match. With the match drawn at 7 points apiece, it was time to go to tiebreaks. 4 games would be played with a faster time control beside the next world champion. First 3 games all ended in draws, Although Ding had to defend some difficult positions, Nepo could not quite finish the job. And for a long time, it looked like the fourth game would also end in a draw. It was a completely equal middle game, and Nepo gave a check, but if Ding responded by moving his king, it would have resulted in a repetition and a draw. The commentators thought this was likely going to happen, as the only other option would be blocking the check with his rook, a move that looked awkward. To the shock of many, that is exactly what Ding decided to do. He wanted to play on no matter what, and this decision proved to be a stroke of genius. With both of them down to just a few minutes, Nepo made a mistake on his very next move, and a couple more blunders down the line, he was completely lost. It took a bit more work to convert, but Ding was flawless. He finished the job. He won. The contrast in their emotions at the end was obvious. Frustration for one, euphoria for the other. Ding had done it in spite of overwhelming odds. They are not qualified for the candidates because of COVID. To play 28 games in 30 days to qualify after kayaking was banned, lost the first game of the candidates and had to fight back and win on demand in the last round against Nakamura, played second. Needed Carlsen to refuse to defend his title to qualify for the match. Needed to come back from going behind in the match 3 times. Needed to overcome depression and the tension of the match, and needed to do all this whilst much of his opening preparation had been late. The word incredible does not do this story justice.
It was a very emotional moment. I cannot control my moods, my feelings, and yes, I know myself. I will cry. I will burst into tears. Yes, and, I think this was the match. It reflects the deepest of my soul.
Ding Liren is very deserved 17th undisputed world chess champion. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.